Hello, everybody. My name is Tracy Philippi. I'm the outreach librarian for the Village of Cottage Grove. So I'd like to welcome you to Insights on Household Waste and Recycling in Cottage Grove, How to Recycle Like a Pro. This is the first program in our April Sustainability Series in partnership with the Friends of the Cottage Grove Library. So really briefly, I'm just going to run through a few upcoming sustainability and Earth Day focused programs that are coming up. So this Saturday, we have Earth Day story time for the kids at the Cottage Grove School Forest. We'll meet in the Cottage Grove School parking lot and walk down to the pond area together. Immediately following this program, the Madison Reading Project will have their big red bus set up, and you can get free books for the kids there. Next Wednesday, April 23rd from 6 to 7 p.m., author Bill Berry will be joining us to give a presentation called Banning DDT, How Citizen Activists in Wisconsin Led the Way. This will be on Village Hall and in Zoom. On Saturday, April 26th from 9 to 10 a.m. at Cottage Grove School Library, we'll be hosting a Badger Talk with Stanley Temple called Aldo Leopold Was for the Birds. And speaking of birds, our last program is on Wednesday, April 30th from 9 to 10 a.m. We will be hosting a program called Birding with Babies at McCarthy Youth Park in Cottage Grove. So just wanted to let everybody know this presentation is being recorded and it will be available on the library board's YouTube page by the end of the week. So I encourage you to leave your cameras off throughout the presentation. If you do have letting somebody in here. If you do have any questions for Todd, go ahead and throw those in the chat and we'll swing back around to those at the end of his presentation. So with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker. Todd Bollenbach, the Municipal Account Executive at Pellitteri Waste Systems, today will share insights on recycling, best practices, common recycling myths, and what actually happens to your recycling in the Village of Cottage Grove. So Todd, I'm going to keep letting people in to the presentation and you can take it away.
All right, thank you, and thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure for Pellitteri to serve the Village of Cottage Grove. As many of you know, we started this January providing waste and recycling services for the village. And I'm basically here today, just kind of want to give a quick overview about Pellitteri, our material recovery facility, or MRF, where we take all the recycling from Cottage Grove and all of our communities, and what happens to your recycling once you throw them into your bin at the end of the driveway. I also like to get into a little bit of some contamination, wish cycling issues, and then I'm going to get into some kind of best practices and some recycling tips. There's a lot of misnomers and confusion out there, so hopefully I can clear some of those things up for you all today. Then I'd be happy to take any questions at the end as well. So like I said, we're basically, the agenda for today is, I literally just ran through for you. But a little bit about Pellitteri. For those of you who aren't aware, Pellitteri Waste Systems has been around for about 45 years. It's a family-owned, family-operated business with all the owners living right here in Dane County. We started doing curbside service about 20 years ago, and since then we've grown to service about 42 different communities and around 80,000 homes every month. Nice thing that we are really proud of, we do have a 100% retention rate. Communities that we go into the service are very happy with what we provide, and we've been able to keep all those communities. So we've grown really organically and really pride ourselves on staying local, taking care of our people. From a live customer service team that's local here. You don't have to call another state and have somebody not have any idea where Cottage Grove is. A lot of our employees live right in the community as well. Our corporate office, just something to kind of give you an idea where we are at. We're located right off of Celltown Road, if you're heading west on the Beltline. And all of our trucks, all of our mechanics, our owners, our customer service team, our sales team are all under one roof over here. So it's really great. Our flow of communication is really seamless. We're kind of all in the same team. It's really easy to get a hold of everybody. Our material recovery facility, or MRF, as you'll hear me refer to it as at some points of the day, is located just off of South Stoughton Road, and we're only about 8 miles from Cottage Grove. So it's a very close, but we own and operate, and we do all of our own sorting and processing, cleaning of recyclables right at our facility. We service about upwards of 230 tons of recycling every day at that facility. Along with the 80,000 homes we service, we also process all the city of Madison. All their recycling comes to us, and actually through that partnership is what enabled us to build that facility in the first place. We're We're constantly adding new technology, new systems to improve all of our sorting capability there. We're adding new technology to help us sort cardboard better through the use of artificial intelligence, robotics, lights, lasers. We really are able to sort, clean, an exponentially more amount of recyclables than a lot of facilities are able to offer. I'll get into it shortly, but some of the things that we're going to be able to accept there that kind of go above and beyond what's required by the state, by the DNR. We have a pretty expansive list of additional items that we can recycle. Hot and cold to go cups, Starbucks glasses, things of that nature, milk and juice cartons, metal pots and pans, big shredded paper, small appliances, plumbing fixtures. And starting this year, we're very happy to let you know that pizza boxes are fully recyclable. In years past, and I always feel bad, I've spent years going around telling people, do not recycle your greasy pizza boxes. Uh, in the past, if the lid's clean, you rip that up, you put that half in the recycling, and the greasy part with little cheese on it goes in the trash. This year, it's all recyclable. So you can throw your entire pizza box in the recycling bin, which is a really great addition to our recycling program that comes here. We get asked a lot, what actually happens to our recycling when you put it in the bin at the end of your driveway? A lot of people do their best to recycle, but once it gets to the curb, they don't really know what happens to it or why what the process is when that goes into things. But we sort glass and that's all separated. Pellitteri sends zero glass to the landfill, recyclable glass, that is. We recycle 100% of the glass we bring in. A lot of companies will use glass as a kind of a top layer to some landfill. We do not. So we do an excellent job, and we send all of our glass to a place called Strategic Materials that sorts and makes that into new products. Although obviously there is downsides to glass, like weight, and obviously it's sharp if it's broken. I'm a huge glass fan because little known fact, glass is recyclable an infinite amount of times. Where you can only recycle paper and plastic products are obviously a limited amount of times those can be recycled. Paper and cardboard, we sort all those. Your loose paper becomes made into tissue products. We recycle cardboard and OCC and corrugated into new cardboard boxes. Those are sent to 3, maybe 4 plants right here in Wisconsin, another plant in Indiana. That turnaround time is so fast. It sounds silly, but you could literally get an Amazon box on your front door, put it in a recycling bin, and within a couple of weeks have that back on your doorstep in the form of a new box. It's a pretty impressive, and it's a very quick turnaround time how those are all sorted out. The metal we bring in, we recycle locally right here in Madison. A lot of it at all metals material and all metal and alter metals. Aluminum, we obviously sort. There's numerous places for that. So that is a commodity that we do try to sort and separate and send out to many locations on that. Plastics is where you get into kind of a mixed and confusion on that. Our PETs are #1 plastics. Those are going to be optically sorted. Those are made into new bottles, and many of those are made into carpet. Mohawk carpet is one of our biggest end users that we send our products to. So that plastic water bottle you throw in your recycling, a few months later might be on the floor of your house in the form of carpet. We send our HDPE natural plastics to Michigan and Alabama. They get made into new bottles. A lot of the plastics like that, the color that you can't reuse into new bottles, those are made into things like drainage tiles. A lot of manufactured lumber, uh, landscape edging, things of that nature. And the polypropylene at #5, so that's the second most widely produced plastic. We go to send those to a place in Alabama. Those are ground into flake and they're used to put back into new polypropylene containers. And right now, a big portion of that is plastic paint cans. A majority are getting made into new paint cans that you might use. We're starting a different process with our 3 through 7 plastics, where those are getting sent out and getting basically melted down into fuel oils, waxes. Um, and we also our recycling facility also acts as a cleaning facility. We work with some companies, I know there's some in Iowa and Illinois that bring stuff up to us where it's baled. We'll actually tear that apart, send that through our system and kind of resort and clean up and get the contamination out of the, excuse me, out of those recyclables. And speaking of contamination, that kind of flows into my new thing or my new screen here. Contamination continues to be an ongoing struggle for us. We're hopeful through educational programs, community outreach, things like this, that we can keep that to a minimum. It's imperative that we keep our recycling as clean as possible so we can ensure that we always have the cleanest product available to our end users to use. That's why it's important that you only place acceptable materials into your recycling bin. And the reason for a lot of that, contamination issues, things that shouldn't be in there, a lot of that is because of what we would call wish cycling. Wish cycling is when you recycle something because you wish or think it should be recycled, even though it's not. We wish we could recycle everything we get. We don't have that. We're only as good as where we have a home to find things as well. But when you wish cycle or recycle something that isn't an accepted product in the stream, you can actually damage and contaminate perfectly good recycling that might have it end up going to the landfill instead of being properly recycled. That's why it's really, again, it's important that you only place acceptable items in your cart. And a lot of those, like I said, because of the wish cycling, um, it's not because of general apathy or people not caring. It's really just about a lack of education and the confusion that kind of surrounds the recycling business. I know most people are trying to do the best for the environment, recycle everything they can, but we see a lot of things that come in that people just don't know. And kind of the biggest things that we run into are plastic bags, shopping bags, grocery bags, Target bags, whatever, ropes, banding, garden hoses, styrofoam. That's another one that people often try to recycle. And here's where the confusion comes in. Just because something has that little recycling logo on it does not mean that it can be sorted through the single stream process. If I had an entire dumpster full of styrofoam and it was already separated, I can take that somewhere and recycle it. Unfortunately, in the single stream process, which is kind of the commingled recycling that we pick up at the end of your driveway, there's no way to sort out the styrofoam. So that is a contaminant and a banned item from the single stream process. We often see glassware where things like a dressing or a glass food container that is recyclable. Things like glassware, window panes, those are not recyclable. There's some different materials and chemical makeups on that does not allow those to be recycled, like a wine bottle or a jam container might be. Plastic wrap, film, saran wrap, things of that nature. All those are banned materials. And electronics, that kind of falls under things like batteries too. I cannot emphasize enough how important and imperative it is to keep batteries and electronics out of the recycling stream. If there's one thing at all that you take away from today's presentation, please let it be, do not put any batteries in the recycling stream. That just can cause fires in trucks. It can cause fires in our recycling facility. It's just super detrimental to the entire process. It can be very costly. I'm not going to get into this too much, but I do have some resources available to, regarding hazardous materials, sharps, needles, light bulbs, things of that nature. This screen touches base on a few of them, but any flammable solvents, fuels, oils, you can take that to Dane County Clean Sweep. Many hardware stores, the Menards, Home Depots of the world, will take back light bulbs, things of that nature. Things like the tanglers, the hoses, the ropes, that all needs to go in your garbage can. Broken glass, garbage. And again, needles and medical waste. Almost any of your pharmacies, hospitals, doctor's office can accept those sort of materials. Excuse me. Uh, this is going to sound kind of counterintuitive to what you'd think as a company that's trying to promote as much recycling as possible, but there's kind of a phrase we use in our industry, and it's called when in doubt, throw it out. If you don't know if something is recyclable, please throw that in the garbage, because if it isn't recyclable and you think it is, that has the potential of contaminating perfectly good recycling, and that doesn't behoove anybody. Now, kind of moving on to just some general tips, suggestions, kind of how to be the best recycler you can be, and some good common practices. I just want to take a few minutes to go over some tips that we've put together that I hope are helpful. There's so much misinformation out there that and depending on where you live, things are different. If you know what Pellitteri can recycle in your single stream option is different. If you moved here from another state or you have a second home somewhere so you have to be cognizant and aware of what your current hauler policies are and what can be recycled. And again, everything I'm going over today is in regards to your single stream, basically your cart at the end of the street, and for the Village of Cottage Grove and all the communities that Pellitteri services. But obviously, this is designed for your community. You run into things that are very confusing, and I blame a lot of the manufacturers. People are trying to be great. Just because something has that triangle recycling logo on it does not mean that it can go in your recycling bin. I mentioned styrofoam earlier. It has a recycle logo on it. That can't be sorted through the process. You get into a lot of things. A lot of packaging has different recycling logos on it. It's really confusing. So here's a few tips that I hope will help everybody out, or at least steer you in the right direction. Again, I had mentioned pizza boxes earlier. I'm happy to say as of this year, pizza boxes are totally recyclable. Little grease, little cheese, throw that in the recycling bin. Something that a lot of people don't know is small metal pieces. Uh, Utilizing magnets, magnetic fields, we're able to accept all sorts of different metal pieces in here. Things like garbage disposals, small motors, plumbing pieces, smaller pieces of metal, keys. Something a lot of people don't think about, utensils, very recyclable. So instead of throwing that stuff in the garbage or leave it in your basement forever, you can throw that right in your recycling bin. Get into a little trickier area, cups and lids. Fortunately, we're one of the few companies that accepts all types of to-go cups, whether that's a plastic McDonald's soda cup, Starbucks coffee cup to go. Um, those are all recyclable now. Through a grant we received from the Carton Council, we're able to sort all those kind of paper cups now too that for a long time weren't recyclable. Tips on that: remove the straw, remove the lid, throw those in the garbage, throw the cup itself in the recycling bin. The reason being for that is those aren't a very solid lid system. And due to the size being so small, the straws, the little lids, those just won't make it through our recycling process. So those will get sent to the trash anyway. So our equipment just isn't able to sort those small plastic pieces. So again, when it comes to a to-go cup, take the lid and the straw, throw it in the garbage, throw the cup itself in the recycling bin. Now kind of moving on to glass jars. This is another question I get a lot. You got a glass jar with a metal lid and a paper label on it. Other than rinsing those out, which goes for all your recycling, whether it's a bottle of soda, spaghetti sauce, anything of that nature, plastic container, please rinse those out the best you can. I don't expect you to stick them in your dishwasher first, but please rinse those out so there's as little residue as possible in there. Through our sorting system, we want lids on. A lot of people don't know that. Whether you're talking about a plastic water bottle, we want to keep the lid on there. It helps maintain. We want recycling items to be as close as their original shape as possible. The way our sorting system works, it's going to basically ensure that those get sorted the best way possible and minimize the chance of them slipping through the system, because we obviously want to recycle as much as possible. As far as your glass containers, you got a jar of salsa or again, spaghetti, rinse it out, put that lid right back on there and throw it in the recycle bin. Through the sorting process, once the glass gets to where it's broken down and sorted, that lid will get sorted through the metal and magnetic sensors on there. So that's the best way to make sure that those lids get recycled as well. Keep those on there. That goes the same for a 2 gallon of milk, jug of milk. I don't expect you to keep it, take up that much space in your recycling bin, but give it a little squeeze, put that cap back on it. Obviously, keep the odor down as well and things like that. But wax carton of milk, juice, water bottle, all that stuff, please leave your caps and lids on those containers. Basically, the only thing we want you to get rid of is your cups, lids, and your straw lids. Um, but yeah, you definitely want to leave everything on there as it is. And getting into plastic containers and lids, um, unlike the cups that I mentioned earlier, things like cottage cheese, sour cream, those are designed to be more of a locking lid. So we want to keep those lids on and that'll pass that through as far as possible in the sorting system. Like I said, those style of containers are designed a little different. So there's a higher chance that they'll be properly recycled. Um, Basically, anything that's almost a two-dimensional shape like paper has the potential of getting kind of sorted through in the paper stream. And we want to make sure to keep things, again, as close to their three-dimensional shape as possible. Um, Something that a lot of people don't think of either, pots and pans, things of that nature. A lot of people aren't aware that those old dented, broken pots you've been using or throwing away or keep it in case you need someday, those are all really recyclable. You can throw a pot, pan, uh, an old thing you'd make brownies or a cake pan in, cookie sheets, that can all get thrown into your recycling bin. Only thing we can't put in there is if you have a glass lid. Again, because that type of glass, much like a juice glass you'd have in your cupboard, that kind of glass is not recyclable. But again, all your old pots and pans, all that stuff is absolutely recyclable. Uh, Another thing that is very surprising to a lot of people are small appliances. Those are another group of items that people don't think are recyclable. But when you get into your toasters, mixers, blenders, even a hair dryer, those things are all really good recyclable material inside there. Basically, a good way to tell if it is or not is if it has a cord. Again, the last thing we want is anything with a battery in there. It's just it causes a lot of chaos and devastation. I've said this a dozen times already, but please no batteries in the recycling stream or the waste stream for that matter as well. But yeah, something like a razor at home that has a charging base on it that has a battery inside of it. Or if you've got a hand mixer that just gets recharged, that cannot go in there. So basically, small corded appliances. We kind of, as a rule of thumb, say kind of anything smaller than a basketball size is really great. And lastly, everybody's inundated with so much packaging on their front door since even before COVID, the amount of shipping envelopes and all the boxing you get on your front porch has gone up exponentially in the last half decade or so. Kind of the Amazon effect has caused all that. And I get asked a lot in different places I go, different communities I speak in, what's recyclable, what isn't. Um, the generic answer is obviously anything paper or cardboard is. We like to affectionately call this the rip or the tear test. If you get a package from Amazon, even if it's a little padded, if you can rip through that without any struggle or notice any plastic on the inside, that's recyclable. Um, a lot of packages will have kind of a line of plastic inside of it where it looks like paper. But again, you'll be able to tell that if you do the tear test and it's hard to tear, it kind of stretches when you pull it apart. Anything with bubble wrap is a no-no. Any plastic packaging is also a no-no. So it's, again, going back to what I said earlier, when in doubt, throw it out. We don't want to contaminate perfectly good recycling. Uh, we've also put together, and I don't know if anybody from the village knows, we do have some great resources available to everybody as well. We have on our website, just pellitteri.com, we have over 31-minute kind of how to recycle videos that are right at your fingertips. They're great, 45 seconds to a minute long. Answers a ton of questions in there. And on our website too, there's a dedicated page for everybody from the Village of Cottage Grove. Basically, you just click under residential, click where it says Village of Cottage Grove. That's going to have links to different resources, a lot of frequently asked questions, service calendars, all that's really readily available for you. Um, Something that we launched last year, which I highly recommend everybody downloading, is our new Pellitteri app. This is great for a handful of reasons. One, will give you service notices. Uh, where I live, my service day is Wednesday. So on Tuesday night, I get my phone beeps and says, get your trash out. Your service day is tomorrow. There's also a recycle right tool on there. So, and this is also available on our website, but right on our app, if you're like, is this recyclable? You can type in the item and it'll tell you if it's recyclable or not. And not only that, it'll give you maybe a suggestion where you can take it if it's not recyclable. So there is a lot of information available to you. And I said right directly through Pellitteri and the Village of Cottage Grove webpage right on our website. So those are just a handful of things. I really appreciate your time. And again, besides myself, our customer service team, you can always call with any questions. They're really well trained and they're, again, right in town here. If you're like, can I recycle this or what do I do with this? Give us a call. They'll be happy to help with any of those questions as well. But I appreciate your time today. Thank you for listening. Thanks for doing what you can to be a better recycler. And I'm open to answer any questions you might have as well. So
Thank you, Todd. I can read off a few that are in the chat here. We have a couple from Lori. So the first question is it true that you cannot accept small plastic things for recycling? Example are prescription bottles and yogurt cups. I heard these items get stuck in equipment.
we can absolutely recycle medicine containers. Those can be recycled. If properly rinsed out, the yogurt containers can be too. A kind of a good rule of thumb is the only kind of blanket container plastic piece that we can't use is kind of those microwavable food trays. Those are comprised of a lot of different materials, which we run into a lot of things like pouches. You might get like beef jerky or something in a pouch. Those are usually layered with different, might have a nylon weave or a different chemical in it. There's no way to separate a plastic from a plastic. So that's why those microwavable things. But no, to get back to your question, we absolutely can recycle medicine containers and those little cups.
Thank you.
We
Next
just want
question.
to rinse out first.
Rinse them out first. Next question is, does cardboard have to be tied together with twine or can it be loose in the bin?
It absolutely 100% does not need to be tied together at all. People did that for a long time when you used to kind of have separate. That's the beauty of the single stream recycling process. We do all the sorting. You don't have to do it. We have a place up north. We used to have to separate clear bottles from colored bottles, from metal, from paper, and you used to have to bundle up newspaper in your cardboard. Absolutely not the case. You can. We prefer you break that down. Obviously just from a size standpoint, but do not need to tie it at all. Absolutely not.
Thanks for making that easy. Next question is, does it matter if metal has some rust on it?
It does not.
You're making this really easy for us, Todd.
It's the easier we can make it and the more we can accept, the more people recycle. Because as a whole and present company included, nobody wants to work harder or think harder to do this stuff. So the easier we can make it, the more recycling we can get in.
Next question, do different communities have different recycling requirements? Isn't it all of Dane County?
It is not. And I kind of touched base on that earlier. It's basically who your service provider is. And that's not insult to any of the other service providers out there, but people are able to accept different things. I know most places we can accept bags, if it's in a clear bag or like a grocery bag, we can accept shredded paper. Like that gets sorted out the front end of our process, where a lot of places do not accept things like that, or the pots and pans, different things that we take above and beyond. So what we accept here is not necessarily what a town that doesn't have us as a service provider can accept. Now, Dane County has rules. The state of Wisconsin has general overriding, rules through the DNR, but it is based on a provider specifically. We've been very fortunate that we service, I mean, from Cottage Grove to Windsor to Wanakee, Middleton, Oregon, Sun Prairie, Fitchburg, Verona. So I mean, we service most of Dane County, but the city of Madison does their own waste and recycling. But if you're in the city of Madison, they bring us all of their recycling. So if you're a city of Madison resident, everything I talked about does apply to you as well. But I always tell people kind of look into what's accepted by your service provider. So it's not necessarily Dane County, it's a who's picking up your trash. Because there are a handful of communities in Dane County that might bring their waste and recycling to a different facility, say in Milwaukee, that they take out of the county to another location. So
And if you're
hopefully
watching
that
this
makes
from
sense.
the town of Cottage Grove, you have a different service provider than Pellitteri. So just a note to look into that further if you're watching in the town. Next question, should cords remain attached to small appliances?
Yes, we do want those attached to small appliances because those are at the first stage, even though we've got multiple different stages, and again, artificial intelligence and robotics, lights, lasers, all these different sorting equipments, from eddy currents to magnets and how everything is sorted in a facility. The very first stage, once it kind of gets metered and up to where the kind of the steady stream is, we have humans up there and they're pulling out things like ropes and cords. We don't want loose cords in there that can get tangled in a lot of our equipment, and it's really bad. So we want those attached. So when somebody sees a blender come up, my guy can take it and sort it into the kind of the larger items that they pre-pull out of there. So that first stage, people are doing two things. They're pulling out things that shouldn't be recycled, or something like a brake drum that somebody puts in there, they're going to take out because that will not make it through our our sorting process, but also is very recyclable. So we try to do things like that. But great question. But yes, please leave the cords on that equipment. Besides the fact that we don't want it tangling other things, it also lets us know that it's not a rechargeable piece. If you've got like I said, a hand mixer and the cords off of it, we might think, hey, that's a battery powered one, and that might get thrown out. So yes, leave the cords on. Sorry for rambling.
Helpful, thank you. Two more questions in the chat. Are softener salt bags recyclable?
They are not. That would fall under grocery bags, shopping bags, things of that nature. Those are, unfortunately, do have to go in the garbage.
And are there public drop-off bins at Pellitteri?
We do not have drop-off bins here. Every community is a little different, and I apologize. I don't think Cottage Grove has a drop-off facility. And again, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that with 100% certainty, but different communities have different drop-off sites that we process for them and maintain. But it all boils down to where you live. But we don't personally have like an area where you come and just drop stuff off.
I think that's it for questions. Does anybody else have a last minute question they want to throw in the chat? Speak now. I think you're correct though about the drop-off bins. I was going to ask Village President Cindy Kell-Nelson, but I think she just hopped off the call. I believe that's.
And one thing I will say, and if anybody's got about 5 minutes, if you go on our website under our recycling tab, there's a fabulous little like 5-minute video that shows our material recovery facility, like from when things are dropped off, how it goes through every stage, how cardboard's separated from plastic, from paper, from cans. I've seen it 100 times, and it's never ceases to amaze me. It's a pretty awesome feat in engineering. So if anybody goes to our website and just under the recycling tab, I can't encourage you enough to take a look at that video. I think we've got something ridiculous, like over 150,000 views on it even. it's pretty impressive. Just nice to kind of know how that all happens.
Ah, dispelling the myths so
That's
that we
right.
become better recyclers. Well, thank you so much, Todd, and thank you to everybody who joined us and everybody watching from home later on. And we hope to see you at a future program. Have a good
Excellent. And thank you again so much for your time. I appreciate you having me on today.
Thanks, Todd. See you later.
Bye now.